because I was invited to come to talk to you guys about what CCC does, Chinese Community Center, and it's made me kind of dig a little deep into my own faith, into my own beliefs, but I appreciate it, I really do. My name is Pam Cook, but I go by Pam Cook. For those, you are my friends, so I consider myself, you can call me by Pam. I am with the Chinese Community Center. We are located on Town Park between Bel Air and Beltway 8 in Chinatown. We are a multi-ethnic organization that serves all Houstonians. We're also nonprofit. So we serve a lot from donations, which has come from the fellowship. We also receive grants, federal grants, and different things in order for us to operate. So without you guys, I would not be here, and the services would not be possible to serve the community. So we appreciate all that you do, all that you believe in, which means you serve. You're coming from a higher purpose. You're looking to serve everyone to be able to achieve whatever their goals may be. At our service, our mission is to provide services and to bridge east and west to serve all families with different social services opportunities. And that could be from whether it's utility assistance programs. We also have vocational classes. We also provide food pantry scholarships, things of that nature. That's just a few things. Our vocational classes are like certified nurse aid, medical billing and coding. We also have phlebotomy. We just opened up an HVAC school, and also we're looking at CDL classes. So again, it's a blessing to receive your partnership, to be able to just serve community, serve humanity, period. Before I start my speech, I'm going to give you a background about myself so you can kind of understand why I'm passionate the way that I am about working in social services. I'm originally from San Antonio. I moved here to go to school and college. I went to Texas Southern, and then I went to UH downtown. I am the daughter of a social worker and a veteran who's my dad, who passed away a couple years ago. And my mother's a retired school teacher. So as you can see, I came from a background of believing in helping others, being that superhero of trying to make people get where they need to be, see what their purpose in life is. Okay? My dad, before he passed, he always stressed not to go into social services. There's no work in it, there's no money in it, people don't appreciate you. And I understood it, so I decided to change my life and go into working for a multi-million-dollar telecommunication service. And the money was great, but it served no purpose, and it was stressful, and it affected me mentally as well as physically. And I kept asking my mom, what is my purpose? I didn't understand it. I didn't know where to go. And she just told me to keep being patient, that God would show me where I needed to be. Well, he did just that. Do you guys remember Hurricane Katrina? Yeah. Hurricane Katrina was very traumatic for a lot of people. Not only for those in Louisiana, but as well as myself, because I worked at a cell phone company at the time. And I remember the phone calls coming in where people were trying to reach their families, cell sites were down, they were just trying to find any kind of help. So imagine listening to somebody on the phone and you can't provide any kind of service because you're just on the phone. You can't hug them, you can't do anything, but you're trying your best to connect them to any kind of resources that you can. That opened up my eyes to make me want to do something different. So God put me in a place. There was a position open to be a disaster case manager. There was a pay cut, but I decided to take a leap of faith and to say, whatever's going to work out, let me work this out, because there must be a reason for why I'm here to help these people. They were displaced for 2 years, living in hotels, on the streets, in trailers and so forth. They had nothing. And then some of them had not only trauma from losing everything, but also just how, some of them grew up, the mentality was a little different, so it's hard for them to understand what it was like to move to Texas. And so it's my job to kind of help them, reroute them, and change them, and mold them, so they can be able to get back on their feet. So ever since then, I've worked in that position. I dealt with Katrina, I dealt with Rita, Harvey as well. And now I'm at the Chinese Community Center. I started off as an employment coach to help people who were unemployed, get them, routed over to vocational classes and so forth. And then, who knew? God would put me in charge of social services, which is the same position that my dad had before he passed away. So that's where I am now. I'm here. So, today my topic is spirituality and social services. My scripture is Galatians 6:2. Bear one another burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Social services and case management, it could be for individuals, it could be for, a community as a whole, but we focus on social justice. Whether it's the LGBTQ community, whether it's the Asian community, it's for everybody. We want everybody to have equality, which is what your fellowship believes in. And I do appreciate that. We work as advocates and sometimes we work as counselors. But our clients, which we call our neighbors, because our neighbors is easy to speak on versus clients, because clients can sometimes seem like it's disconnected. So I might kind of use between the two. But they come with so many different barriers. Some are homeless, some have mental health issues, some are unemployed, some lack income, transportation, which in Houston, how can you believe that? But that's what happens. And it could be one issue, it could be multiple issues. But we have to be the ones to try to break that down and to come up with plans to be able to help them get back to where they need to be, which is self-sufficiency. And self-sufficient can be, that definition can be different for everybody. But try to get them back to a position where they can take care of themselves and they can also effectively take care of their families. I'm going to give you a story. One story that I actually helped out with, but it also required a lot of our teammates. I'm, changing the names up because I can't give out her name first. But Diane had a 1-month-old baby when she came to see us. She was homeless. She decided to leave her husband because of domestic violence. She spoke very, very limited English. Her husband hid her identification documents, so she couldn't work, she couldn't do anything. She had only the clothes on her back. She had nothing. She tried to go to a shelter, but the shelter couldn't really talk to her because of the limited English situation, so they referred her to us. In that situation, you can only imagine how she's feeling. But also imagine how the case manager feels. We're having to find out, and this was during the pandemic, mind you. So shelter was very, very limited. And then on top of that, you have less than a 1-year-old child. So it's even more of a challenge to try to find somebody to help you. We had to work as a whole team in several departments to help her find shelter. We managed to find an agency that would help her, that could also translate for her. We were also able to help her find identification documents. We managed to find her family, which was in another country. We managed to help her financially a little bit to at least allow us to work with her. On top of that, trying to give her confidence back because she really didn't want to talk to us because she was so afraid. It required a lot of energy from the case managers too. But now, her child is 1 year old. She works at a pet store where she has a pet dog, which comforts her. So she's now at a point where she has a little bit more confidence. Her child is now in our child care department. She has child care with us. She has her own apartment as well. But it just took a lot of time to coach her to get where she needed to be. So this is what we deal with in social services. We have to meet them where they are, no matter what the situation is. and we try our best to mold them and motivate them. And without spirituality, we wouldn't be able to do so. Now, spirituality comes from different realms, and for us, thank goodness she had family, she believed in a higher being. It wasn't necessarily a religious-based situation, but she had faith that she could do it, but she just needed other people to let her know that she wasn't by herself and that she wasn't going to be alone in this. She needed to know that somebody was going to offer her support and they would walk her through what she was going through. So, spirituality and social services is important for both the case managers and clients because it promotes self-discovery. I'm even identifying myself as I get older and as I work in here in this department. It allows me to see things on why I move the way that I move. My daughter's here. My daughter's late. I want to show her that life is more than money. Life is about helping people, and she likes to help people. And I want her to know that that's totally okay. That's what you're supposed to do. It helps you heal. Many of my team who works in social services comes from some type of trauma, comes from something, whether it's domestic violence, maybe inequality because of being in the Asian demographic and maybe being disrespected or not treated fairly, or it could be some other things, mental health, it could be several different reasons. But we come from that place where it allows us to kind of heal, it allows us to cope, and it brings us back to healthy living, which is where we have to take care of ourselves in order for us to take care of others. And that's a very, very, very good thing. So even as you guys want to help people as a congregation, you have to take care of yourselves as well. It's also about connecting with somebody. In social services, you just can't ask somebody, what do you need? We have to interact with our neighbors, our clients. We have to talk to them. And sometimes these conversations get very, very intense because we have to understand the story of why they are here in front of us. It can't just be, I need food. Well, no, why do you need food? What has occurred to you? What put you in this place? And I have to train my team to understand many of us are a paycheck away from being in that situation. This could happen to any one of us. The pandemic even showed us that. When people were laid off and couldn't work, how could we take care of ourselves? And those were the first things that came up. They came to social services. They came to the agencies to be able to get resources because they didn't know how to do it. Many of us had to train them to even be self-employed, which nobody knew what self-employment looked like, driving Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these wonderful things. But without those things, they weren't able to take care of themselves. So we had to kind of motivate them to think outside the box in order for them to take care of themselves. It also gives us the compassion, because you can't just work in social services and just work, oh, I'm just here from 8 to 5 to do the job. No, many of us, including myself, we work past normal hours. Sometimes we take work home because we don't want to fail. We want to be those superheroes like you guys mentioned, by making sure that the client gets whatever they can get that we can offer at the center. And if we don't have it at the center, we have partnerships with other agencies where we provide what we call wraparound services, where we try to provide more than one service to be able to make sure that they walk out the door fulfilled and that they have what they need. So imagine sometimes working up till midnight or waking up in the morning as early as 6 in the morning, trying to think of how can I help this client or this neighbor get where they need to be. Now, the context of the scripture, bear one another's burdens so you fulfill the law of Christ, means love your neighbor as you will love yourself. This was something that I believed in. My mom instilled this into me. You treat people how you want to be treated. No matter what, we can agree to disagree, whatever the situation may be. But if I see a person that needs help, let me help them. And talk to them. And give them the compassion that they need and understand and listen, effective listen. There's a difference between just, okay, well, they need help. No, Why do you need help? What is going on? How can I help you? Is it monetary? Is it non-monetary? What is it? So I can be able to provide that service. But also, again, you're not alone in life. Whether you have someone with you face to face holding your hand walking through, or if there's a supreme being who's going to give you that faith enough to know that you're not by yourself and that supreme being is walking with you as well. And especially in the storms of life. Don't always believe that just because you're having a great day, spirituality doesn't have to keep you. Spirituality is with you every day. Every day. Hold on to your faith, especially in the midst of life. It makes you question everything, your purpose, why you're here, what you're doing. These are things that we all kind of go through, and we all have these challenges. So it's not just those who are, who've been neglected. But we all have this fear or this type of situation. So even if your health is bad, whatever the case may be, you have faith that no matter what happens throughout the days, you're going to be fine. And you're not alone. And look out for someone who can give you support. So we use these techniques, whether it's meditation, we come up with different activities, celebrations. To always look at the bright side of things. Don't look at everything. Don't always look at your cup as being empty. Try to look at it as it being full. And even coming up with just meditation activities to help with anxiety while you're going through what you're going through. These are things that we use. So I hope this conversation helps you bring awareness on how we use spirituality, why we use it, how it's important, understanding our clients and what they go through, what our case managers go through emotionally from day to day, on how we want to take care of each other. We have to even take care of each other sometimes. I see some of my workers, they're stressed out. They haven't taken off work because they feel like if they take off work, the neighbors are going to suffer. But I can't have you not take care of yourself. Because how can you take care of someone if you have? So we have to also come up with our own techniques to take care of ourselves. So that concludes my speech. I hope that was the emphasis. I hope that brought some light on why we appreciate you guys and your donations, your contributions, your time. Because I've even had the opportunity, Victoria, as well as Harold, you guys come out to the center quite often, and I love to see you guys come and visit. It always humbles me, and I always appreciate it. So I hope you guys understand now a little bit more about what you guys do and how much of an impact that you brought to us, to CCC, and I hope you continue to do so. And again, I appreciate your time. Thank you.